What if the key to mastering your destiny, the ability to shape your future with clarity and purpose, has been hidden in the wisdom of ancient Stoics for centuries? Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This simple yet profound idea lies at the heart of Stoic philosophy, offering timeless tools to navigate life's challenges with resilience and focus. Today, we're diving into 22 actionable habits rooted in Stoicism, each designed to help you take control of your mindset, your decisions, and ultimately your destiny. These aren't just abstract ideas, they're practical, everyday practices that can transform how you approach modern life. Whether you're facing uncertainty, stress, or simply seeking a clearer path forward, these habits can guide you toward a life of purpose and mastery. Let's explore how the wisdom of the Stoics can become your blueprint for a better future. Every Stoic day begins with intention. This is the first habit, and it's one of the most powerful: morning reflection. Think of it as a moment of quiet before the storm of the day, a chance to ground yourself in your values and set a clear purpose for what lies ahead. The Stoics understood that how you start your day often determines how you live it. Marcus Aurelius, in his personal journal Meditations, would often write to himself in the early hours, reminding himself of his principles and preparing his mind for the challenges to come. He didn't just wake up and rush into the chaos of ruling an empire. He paused, reflected, and aligned his actions with his deeper sense of purpose. So, what does this look like in practice? It could be as simple as spending 5 minutes each morning journaling. Write down 3 things you're grateful for, not just the big wins, but the small, often overlooked blessings. Maybe it's the warmth of sunlight streaming through your window, the quiet before the house wakes up, or even the opportunity to face another day with clarity. Gratitude, as the Stoics taught, shifts your focus from what you lack to what you already have, and that mindset can transform your entire outlook. But morning reflection isn't just about gratitude, it's also about intention. Ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be today? How can I respond to challenges with patience and wisdom? How can I align my actions with my values, even when life feels overwhelming? These questions aren't just philosophical, they're practical tools for navigating the day ahead. By starting with this kind of reflection, you're not just reacting to life, you're shaping it. Now imagine your ideal morning routine if it were rooted in Stoic principles. Would it include a few moments of stillness, a deliberate pause to remind yourself of what truly matters? Whatever it looks like for you, the key is to make it intentional, because when you begin your day with purpose, you don't just survive, you thrive. What if preparing for the worst could actually help you appreciate the present more deeply? This might sound counterintuitive, but it's at the core of the Stoic practice known as Premeditatio Malorum, or the premeditation of evils. The idea is simple yet profound. By mentally rehearsing potential challenges or losses, you not only prepare yourself to handle them with grace, but also cultivate a deeper sense of gratitude for what you already have. Seneca, one of Stoicism's most influential thinkers, put it this way: he robs present ills of their power who has perceived their coming beforehand. In other words, when you anticipate difficulties, they lose their ability to catch you off guard. You become resilient not because you're immune to hardship, but because you've already faced it in your mind. Let's take a modern example. Imagine for a moment that you lost your job. How would you respond? What steps would you take to rebuild? By visualizing this scenario, you're not inviting bad luck. You're preparing yourself to act with clarity and purpose if it ever happens. More importantly, this exercise helps you appreciate the stability you currently have. It's easy to take things like a steady income or a supportive workplace for granted, but when you consider how quickly they could change, you start to see them in a new light. That's the power of negative visualization. It sharpens your awareness of the present while equipping you to face the future with courage. But this practice isn't just about preparing for big, life-altering events. It can also help you navigate everyday frustrations. Think about the last time you were stuck in traffic or faced a minor inconvenience. How did you react? Now imagine if you'd already considered the possibility of delays or setbacks. By anticipating these small but inevitable challenges, you're less likely to be thrown off balance when they happen. Instead of frustration, you might feel a sense of calm acceptance or even gratitude that the problem isn't worse. So, how might visualizing challenges help you face them with greater courage? It's about shifting your mindset. When you mentally prepare for adversity, you're not dwelling on fear, you're building resilience. You're reminding yourself that no matter what happens, you have the tools to adapt and persevere. And in the process, you'll find yourself appreciating the good in your life more deeply, not because it's perfect, but because you've imagined what it might be like to lose it. That's the Stoic way, turning potential fears into opportunities for growth and gratitude. The Stoics knew that freedom lies in focusing on what's within your power. This is the essence of the dichotomy of control, a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy taught by Epictetus. He famously said, "Some things are within our power while others are not." It's a simple distinction, but one that holds immense power when applied to everyday life. The idea is this: you can't control external events, but you can always control how you respond to them. This shift in focus from what's happening to you to how you choose to act is where true freedom begins. Let's take a modern example. Imagine you're stuck in traffic. You didn't choose the congestion, and you can't magically clear the road ahead, but what you can control is your reaction. Do you let frustration take over, gripping the wheel tighter and cursing the delay? Or do you take a deep breath, turn on a podcast, and use the time to learn something new? The traffic itself is beyond your influence, but your attitude and actions are entirely yours to shape. This is the Stoic approach. Redirect your energy toward what you can change and let go of what you can't. Now think about your own life. What areas are you trying to control that are beyond your influence? Maybe it's the opinions of others, the outcome of a project at work, or even the weather on a day you've planned an outdoor event. These are all things that lie outside your power, and yet so often we waste precious energy trying to manipulate them. The Stoics would argue that this is a recipe for frustration and exhaustion. Instead, they encourage us to focus on our own choices, our own mindset, and our own actions, because these are the only things we truly control. This doesn't mean ignoring the world around you or becoming indifferent to outcomes. It's about recognizing where your power lies and using it wisely. When you stop trying to control the uncontrollable, you free up mental and emotional space to invest in what really matters: your character, your values, and the way you show up in the world. So, the next time you feel overwhelmed by circumstances outside your control, pause and ask yourself, what can I do right now to respond with wisdom and integrity? By focusing on what's within your power, you not only reduce stress but also reclaim your agency. That's the Stoic path to freedom, not by changing the world, but by mastering your own mind. Emotional detachment might sound cold or unfeeling at first, but in Stoicism, it's far from it. This practice is about creating space between what happens to us and how we choose to respond. Think of the Stoic philosophers who faced some of history's greatest challenges with remarkable calm. Marcus Aurelius led an empire through war and plague, yet his writings reveal a man deeply committed to maintaining inner peace. Seneca, exiled and later forced to take his own life, remained composed, writing letters that continue to inspire millions. These weren't unfeeling individuals. They were masters of their emotions, able to face adversity without being consumed by it. Epictetus, a former slave turned philosopher, put it simply, it's not what happens to you but how you react to it that matters. This idea is the foundation of emotional detachment. It's not about suppressing your feelings or pretending they don't exist. It's about recognizing that emotions are natural, but they don't have to dictate your actions. By creating that mental distance, you gain the clarity to respond rationally rather than react impulsively. Consider a modern scenario: someone criticizes you at work. Your initial reaction might be anger or defensiveness, but what if, instead of lashing out or stewing in resentment, you paused? What if you took a moment to detach from the emotional charge of the moment and asked yourself, what can I learn from this? Is there truth in their words, or is this simply their perspective? That pause, that moment of detachment, can completely change the outcome. It allows you to respond thoughtfully rather than being swept away by the heat of the moment. Emotional detachment isn't about becoming indifferent, it's about becoming intentional. It's about choosing how you engage with the world rather than letting the world dictate your state of mind. When you cultivate this habit, you're not ignoring your emotions, you're honoring them by not letting them control you. You're giving yourself the freedom to act from a place of wisdom, not reactivity. So, how might detaching from emotions help you make better decisions? Imagine a situation where you're faced with a difficult choice. If you're overwhelmed by fear, anger, or anxiety, your judgment can become clouded. But if you step back, even momentarily, you create the mental space to weigh your options clearly. You're able to see the bigger picture, consider the long-term consequences, and act in alignment with your values. That's the power of emotional detachment. It transforms you from a passive reactor into an active, intentional decision-maker. In a world that often feels chaotic and unpredictable, emotional detachment is a superpower. It's the ability to remain steady amid storms, to think clearly when others are losing their heads. And the best part, it's a skill anyone can develop with practice. Start small. Pause before responding to a frustrating email. Take a deep breath when you feel anger rising, or simply observe your emotions without judgment. Over time, you'll find that this habit not only helps you navigate challenges with greater ease, but also deepens your sense of inner peace. That's the Stoic way, mastering your emotions to master your life. The Stoics had a radical idea: to seek discomfort on purpose. It might sound strange at first. Why would anyone willingly choose hardship? But here's the truth they understood: comfort can be a trap. When we avoid discomfort, we weaken our ability to handle life's inevitable challenges. This is why the Stoics practiced voluntary hardship, deliberately putting themselves in situations that tested their limits. Seneca, one of Stoicism's greatest voices, wrote, "Set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, 'Is this the condition that I feared?'" By embracing discomfort, they weren't punishing themselves, they were training their minds to find strength in adversity. So, what does this look like in practice? It could be as simple as skipping a meal to practice fasting, taking a cold shower, or waking up an hour earlier than usual. These acts might seem small, but they teach you something profound: that you're capable of more than you think. When you voluntarily step into discomfort, you're not just building physical endurance, you're strengthening your mental resilience. You're proving to yourself that you can face challenges head-on without running away or giving in to fear. Let's take a modern example: technology. Imagine going a full day without your smartphone. No scrolling, no notifications, no constant connection. For many of us, that idea alone feels uncomfortable. But what if you tried it? What would you discover about your ability to focus, to be present, or to sit with your thoughts? This kind of voluntary discomfort isn't about deprivation, it's about liberation. It's about breaking free from habits that hold you back and proving to yourself that you're in control. The beauty of this practice is that it doesn't have to be extreme. You don't need to climb a mountain or live in the wilderness to benefit from voluntary hardship. It's the small, consistent acts of discomfort that add up over time. Maybe it's choosing to walk instead of driving, or speaking up in a meeting when you'd usually stay silent. Each time you push past your comfort zone, you're building a stronger, more resilient version of yourself. So, what small discomfort could you embrace today to grow stronger? It doesn't have to be dramatic, just something that challenges you, even in a minor way. Because every time you choose discomfort over ease, you're taking a step toward mastering your mind and your destiny. That's the Stoic way, not avoiding hardship, but meeting it with courage and curiosity. And in doing so, you'll find that what once seemed unbearable becomes a source of strength. What if gratitude was the key to lasting contentment? The Stoics believed that finding joy in the present moment wasn't just a nice idea, it was essential to living a fulfilling life. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." This simple yet powerful perspective reminds us that gratitude isn't about ignoring life's difficulties, it's about reframing them. By focusing on what we have rather than what we lack, we shift our mindset from scarcity to abundance, from frustration to appreciation. Gratitude in Stoic philosophy isn't just a fleeting feeling, it's a practice. It's a deliberate choice to notice and honor the good in our lives, no matter how small. The Stoics understood that life is unpredictable, filled with challenges and setbacks. But they also knew that even in the midst of hardship, there's always something to be grateful for. Maybe it's the support of a friend, the beauty of nature, or the simple fact that you have another day to try again. By practicing gratitude daily, you're not denying reality, you're choosing to see it through a lens of hope and resilience. One practical way to cultivate this habit is by keeping a gratitude journal. Each day, take a few moments to write down 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be grand or extraordinary often. It's the small, everyday blessings that make the biggest impact. Maybe it's the warmth of your morning coffee, the laughter of a loved one, or even the opportunity to learn from a mistake. Over time, this practice trains your mind to seek out the positive, even in difficult situations. It's like building a mental muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. But why does this matter? Because gratitude has the power to transform how you experience life. When you focus on what's going well, you're less likely to be overwhelmed by what's not. Challenges don't disappear, but they become easier to navigate because you're no longer defined by them. You start to see setbacks as opportunities for growth and moments of joy as gifts to be savored. Gratitude, in this sense, becomes a tool for resilience, helping you stay grounded and hopeful no matter what life throws your way. So, what 3 things are you grateful for today? Take a moment to reflect. It could be something as simple as a kind word from a stranger or the quiet stillness of an early morning. When you make gratitude a daily habit, you're not just counting your blessings, you're building a foundation of contentment that can carry you through life's ups and downs. That's the Stoic way, finding joy in the present, not by ignoring reality, but by embracing it with an open and grateful heart. The Stoics believed in aligning with the natural order of life, not just the world around them, but the nature within themselves. This principle, known as living in accordance with nature, is one of the cornerstones of Stoic philosophy. Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, taught that true happiness comes from living in harmony with the way things are, rather than resisting or fighting against reality. It's about understanding your place in the world, embracing your inherent nature, and aligning your actions with what is true and good. At its core, this habit is about balance both externally and internally. Externally, it means accepting the natural cycles of life, the seasons, the rise and fall of fortunes, and the inevitability of change. Internally, it means living authentically, in tune with your values and virtues. The Stoics saw this alignment as the path to a fulfilling life, free from unnecessary struggle and inner conflict. Think about it this way: nature is relentless yet fair. The sun rises and sets without fail, the tides ebb and flow without complaint, and the seasons transition without resistance. There's a rhythm to it, a kind of effortless flow. The Stoics believed we could learn from this. By aligning ourselves with these natural rhythms, we can reduce stress and find greater peace. For example, simplifying your lifestyle, decluttering your physical space, prioritizing meaningful relationships, or focusing on essential tasks can help you live more in tune with your true nature. It's about shedding what doesn't serve you and embracing what does. Zeno often used the metaphor of a dog tied to a cart to illustrate this idea. If the cart moves, the dog can either resist and be dragged along, or it can walk willingly beside it. The destination remains the same, but the experience is vastly different. Living in accordance with nature is like choosing to walk willingly. It's about accepting what you cannot change while making the most of what you can. So how can you align your actions with your true nature? Start by reflecting on what feels authentic to you. Are there habits, relationships, or commitments that feel out of sync with who you are? Are you resisting realities that you could instead accept and adapt to? Living in harmony with nature doesn't mean giving up ambition or settling for less. It means pursuing goals that align with your values and embracing life's twists and turns with grace. Consider a modern example: the pressure to constantly chase more money, more status, more possessions. This endless pursuit often leaves people feeling empty, as if they're running on a treadmill that never stops. But what if, instead of chasing external validation, you focused on cultivating inner peace? What if you prioritized simplicity, gratitude, and meaningful connections over the relentless pursuit of more? That's living in accordance with nature, choosing what nourishes your soul over what depletes it. The Stoics remind us that life isn't about controlling every outcome, it's about finding harmony within the flow. When you align your actions with your true nature, you stop fighting against the current and start moving with it. You find clarity, purpose, and a deeper sense of fulfillment. So take a moment today to ask yourself, what does it mean for you to live in harmony with nature? How can you simplify, accept, and align your life with what truly matters? The answers might just lead you to a more peaceful and purposeful way of being. What if you carried a constant reminder that your time here is limited? The Stoics had a practice called Memento Mori, Latin for remember you must die. It's not meant to be morbid or depressing, but rather a powerful tool for clarity and focus. Seneca, the great Stoic philosopher, wrote, "You act like mortals in all that you fear and like immortals in all that you desire." In other words, we often live as though we have endless time, putting off what truly matters for a future that isn't guaranteed. Memento Mori is about breaking that illusion, bringing the reality of our mortality into the present to help us live more intentionally. Imagine for a moment what you'd do differently if you remembered death daily. Would you waste hours scrolling through social media, or would you spend that time connecting with loved ones? Would you stay in a job that drained you, or would you take steps toward something more fulfilling? The Stoics believed that reflecting on mortality wasn't about fear, it was about urgency. It's a reminder to stop postponing your dreams, to stop waiting for the perfect moment, and to start living in alignment with your values right now. Think about how this practice could apply to modern life. Let's say you're feeling stuck in a routine that feels unfulfilling. By reflecting on the brevity of life, you might find the courage to set more meaningful goals. Maybe it's finally starting that side project you've been dreaming about, or having that difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Memento Mori isn't about making impulsive decisions. It's about prioritizing what truly matters and letting go of what doesn't. It's about finding the clarity to say, this is my time and I'm going to make it count. So how would your life change if you lived with the awareness of mortality? It's not about living in fear of the end, but about embracing the gift of the present. When you remember that your time is limited, you're less likely to take it for granted. You start to see distractions for what they are, time thieves, and focus on what brings meaning and joy. You might find yourself saying yes to experiences that enrich your life and no to obligations that drain it. That's the power of Memento Mori. It strips away the noise and leaves you with what truly matters. In a world that often feels chaotic and overwhelming, this practice can be a grounding force. It's a reminder to live with intention, to cherish the people you love, and to pursue the things that light you up. Because when you remember that life is finite, you stop waiting for the perfect moment and start creating it. That's the Stoic way, not fearing death, but using its inevitability as a guide to live fully, deeply, and authentically. So, what's one thing you'd do differently today if you truly remembered that your time is precious? Self-discipline is the foundation of Stoic virtue. It's the bedrock upon which all other habits are built, the inner strength that allows you to align your actions with your values, even when it's difficult. The Stoics understood that true freedom doesn't come from indulging every desire or impulse, it comes from mastering them. Epictetus, who began his life as a slave, knew this better than most. He taught that self-discipline is the key to liberation, saying, "No man is free who is not master of himself." In other words, if you can't control your own mind and actions, you'll always be at the mercy of external forces. For the Stoics, self-discipline wasn't about punishment or deprivation. It was about empowerment. It's the ability to say no to distractions, temptations, and short-term gratifications so you can say yes to what truly matters. Think of it as a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. And like any muscle, it grows through consistent, deliberate practice. One practical way to cultivate self-discipline is by creating a daily routine. The Stoics were firm believers in structure, not as a rigid set of rules, but as a framework to support intentional living. For example, Marcus Aurelius began each day with reflection, aligning his thoughts with his principles before stepping into the demands of ruling an empire. You don't need to be an emperor to benefit from this approach. Start small, perhaps by dedicating the first 10 minutes of your morning to planning your day or setting a clear intention. Over time, these small acts of discipline compound, helping you build momentum and stay focused on your goals. But self-discipline isn't just about routines, it's also about mastering your impulses. Consider how often we act on autopilot, reaching for our phones, indulging in unhealthy habits, or procrastinating on important tasks. These are moments where self-discipline steps in, giving you the power to pause and choose a better path. Epictetus put it simply, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. In other words, self-discipline often means doing what's right, even if it's unpopular or uncomfortable. It's about valuing long-term growth over short-term ease. So, what area of your life could benefit from greater self-discipline? Maybe it's your health, your finances, or your relationships. Whatever it is, start by identifying one small change you can make today. It could be as simple as limiting screen time, saving a portion of your income, or practicing active listening in conversations. The key is to take consistent action even when it feels challenging, because every time you exercise self-discipline, you're not just building a habit, you're reinforcing your ability to live with purpose and integrity. Self-discipline in the Stoic sense isn't about perfection, it's about progress. It's about showing up day after day, even when the path is hard, and when you stumble, as we all do, it's about getting back up and trying again. That's the Stoic way, not avoiding difficulty, but meeting it with resolve and resilience. So, what's one step you can take today to strengthen your self-discipline? Remember, it's not about being perfect, it's about being persistent, and that persistence over time becomes the foundation of a life well lived. How can challenges, those moments that feel like setbacks, become opportunities for growth? The Stoics had a radical perspective on this. They believed that adversity wasn't something to avoid, but something to embrace. Marcus Aurelius, who faced countless trials as a Roman emperor, wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, the very obstacles we dread can become the tools we need to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. This isn't just a comforting idea, it's a practical philosophy for transforming hardship into strength. Think about failure, for example. It's something most of us fear, and yet every failure carries a lesson. The Stoics didn't see failure as an end, they saw it as a teacher. Imagine you've worked tirelessly on a project, only to see it fall short of expectations. It's easy to feel defeated, to question your abilities, or even to give up. But what if, instead of dwelling on the disappointment, you asked yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I improve? That shift in perspective turns failure from a source of pain into a source of power. It's not about denying the difficulty, it's about finding the opportunity within it. This Stoic approach to adversity isn't just theoretical, it's actionable. Consider the story of Thomas Edison, who famously said, "I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." His relentless pursuit of the light bulb wasn't just a testament to his perseverance, it was a reflection of his mindset. He didn't see setbacks as roadblocks, he saw them as stepping stones. That's the essence of resilience, the ability to keep moving forward, not because the path is easy, but because you've learned to find strength in the struggle. So, what challenge in your life could you reframe as a chance to grow? Maybe it's a difficult relationship, a career setback, or even a personal goal that feels out of reach. Instead of seeing these as barriers, what if you saw them as opportunities to build resilience? The Stoics would remind us that every hardship is a chance to practice patience, courage, and wisdom. When you face adversity with this mindset, you're not just surviving, you're thriving. Resilience isn't about avoiding pain, it's about using it to become stronger. It's about recognizing that the very things that test us are the things that shape us. By embracing challenges, you're not just enduring life, you're mastering it. So, the next time you face a setback, ask yourself, what lesson is this teaching me? How can I grow from this experience? When you start to see adversity as a teacher, you'll find that even the toughest moments can lead to your greatest growth. That's the Stoic way, turning obstacles into opportunities, one challenge at a time. The Stoics understood something profound: the present moment is all we truly have. They valued being fully present in each moment, not as a fleeting idea, but as a cornerstone of a meaningful life. Epictetus, one of Stoicism's most influential teachers, put it plainly: we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. What he meant is that much of our anxiety and regret comes from dwelling on the past or worrying about the future, both of which are beyond our control. By grounding ourselves in the present, we reclaim our power to act with clarity and purpose. Mindfulness, in the Stoic sense, isn't just about noticing your surroundings. It's about fully engaging with what's happening right now, without judgment or distraction. It's the difference between merely going through the motions and truly experiencing life as it unfolds. Imagine you're having a conversation with a friend. Are you fully listening, or is your mind wandering to your to-do list, replaying an earlier argument, or planning what you'll say next? The Stoics would argue that true connection and understanding come from being fully present, from giving your undivided attention to the moment at hand. One practical way to cultivate this habit is through mindful breathing. It's a simple yet powerful exercise that can anchor you in the present. Here's how it works. Take a deep breath in, counting to 4 as you inhale. Hold that breath for a count of 4, then exhale slowly for another count of 4. Repeat this cycle a few times, focusing solely on the rhythm of your breath. This isn't just about relaxation, it's about training your mind to stay grounded in the here and now. When you practice this regularly, you'll find it easier to bring that same focus to other areas of your life. But mindfulness doesn't stop at breathing exercises. It's about creating a habit of presence in everything you do. Whether you're eating, walking, or even washing the dishes, try to fully immerse yourself in the experience. Notice the textures, the smells, the sounds. When your mind starts to drift, as it inevitably will, gently guide it back to the present moment. This isn't about perfection, it's about practice. Over time, you'll find that these small acts of mindfulness add up, helping you build a deeper sense of calm and clarity. So, how can you bring more presence into your daily life? Start by identifying one routine activity and commit to doing it mindfully. Maybe it's your morning coffee, your commute, or even the way you greet your loved ones at the end of the day. The goal isn't to overhaul your entire routine overnight. It's to create moments of stillness and awareness amidst the busyness of life. When you do, you'll discover that the present moment isn't just a place to exist, it's a space to truly live. That's the Stoic way, finding depth and meaning not in the distant future or the unchangeable past, but in the richness of the here and now. What if reading wasn't just a pastime, but a pathway to wisdom? For the Stoics, books were more than ink on paper. They were gateways to deeper understanding, self-improvement, and clarity. Seneca, one of Stoicism's most eloquent voices, once wrote, "The mind should be kept in constant training by reading, for as the body is strengthened by exercise, so is the mind by books." To the Stoics, reading wasn't just about acquiring knowledge, it was about shaping character. It was a deliberate act of feeding the mind with ideas that could inspire, challenge, and transform. Think about it. When you read, you're not just absorbing information. You're engaging in a conversation with some of the greatest minds in history. The Stoics believed that wisdom wasn't something you were born with, it was something you cultivated through study and reflection. Whether it was Epictetus's teachings on freedom, Marcus Aurelius's meditations on leadership, or Seneca's letters on resilience, these texts were designed to provoke thought and guide action. They weren't meant to be read passively, they were meant to be lived. So, how can you make reading a tool for growth in your own life? Start by creating a reading list of Stoic texts. Classics like Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, Letters from a Stoic by Seneca, and the Enchiridion by Epictetus are foundational, but don't stop there. Expand your list to include modern interpretations of Stoic philosophy or books that explore similar themes of resilience, mindfulness, and purpose. The key is to choose works that challenge you, that make you think, and that encourage you to reflect on your own life. But reading isn't just about what you read, it's about how you read. The Stoics approached books with intention. They didn't rush through pages to check off a list. They took their time, reflecting on each idea and asking how it applied to their lives. This kind of deep, thoughtful reading can be transformative. It's not about quantity, but quality. Even a single passage, deeply understood, can shift your perspective and inspire meaningful change. So, what book could you read to deepen your understanding of Stoicism? Perhaps it's a classic you've been meaning to revisit, or maybe it's something entirely new. Whatever you choose, approach it with curiosity and openness. Let the words challenge you, comfort you, and guide you. Because when you read with intention, you're not just turning pages, you're turning toward wisdom. And in doing so, you're taking another step toward mastering your mind and your destiny. That's the Stoic way, using the wisdom of others to light your own path forward. Stoics believed humility was key to true greatness, not as a sign of weakness, but as a mark of strength. It's the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you don't have all the answers, that there's always more to learn, and that every person you meet has something to teach you. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's most powerful leaders, often reflected on the importance of modesty. In Meditations, he wrote, "You have no time to waste on trivialities and self-importance. The universe is vast and your place in it is small. This isn't about diminishing your worth, it's about recognizing your humanity. Humility, in the Stoic sense, is about staying grounded even when life tries to lift you up." But what does humility look like in practice? It's the willingness to admit when you're wrong. It's the ability to listen deeply, not just to respond, but to understand. It's acknowledging your limitations without shame, because you know that growth begins where certainty ends. Think about the last time you faced criticism. Did you react defensively, or did you pause to consider if there was truth in the feedback? Humility asks us to set aside our ego long enough to see the bigger picture, to recognize that every critique, every challenge, and even every failure is an opportunity to grow. Let's take a modern example. Imagine you're in a team meeting and someone challenges your idea. Instead of immediately defending your position, what if you took a moment to truly listen? What if you asked questions, explored their perspective, and considered the possibility that they might have a point? That's humility in action. It's not about abandoning your convictions, it's about being open to the idea that you might not have all the answers. And in doing so, you create space for collaboration, innovation, and deeper connection. Humility also has a profound impact on relationships. When you approach others with a genuine sense of openness and respect, you build trust. People feel seen, heard, and valued. They're more likely to share their ideas, offer support, and work with you toward common goals. In a world that often rewards self-promotion, humility stands out. It's a quiet strength that draws people in, not because you're shouting the loudest, but because you're listening the closest. So, how can humility improve your relationships and self-awareness? It starts with a simple shift in mindset. Instead of seeing yourself as the center of the story, try viewing yourself as one thread in a much larger tapestry. Each person you meet, each experience you have, adds depth and color to the whole. When you embrace this perspective, you stop striving to be the loudest voice in the room and start becoming the most thoughtful. You stop seeking validation and start valuing connection. And in doing so, you not only grow as a person, you inspire others to do the same. Humility in the Stoic tradition isn't about shrinking yourself, it's about expanding your understanding. It's about recognizing that true greatness doesn't come from towering over others, but from standing beside them, learning from them, and growing with them. So, the next time you're tempted to assert your importance, take a step back. Ask yourself, what can I learn here? How can I grow? Because when you approach life with humility, you don't just become better, you become wiser. And that's the kind of greatness that lasts. What if peace wasn't something you had to wait for, but a habit you could practice daily? The Stoics believed that tranquility wasn't a fleeting state of mind, it was a skill, something you could cultivate through deliberate effort. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher who endured slavery and exile, put it simply, no one is free who is not master of himself. Inner peace, in other words, doesn't come from avoiding chaos, it comes from mastering your response to it. It's about finding calm within yourself, no matter what's happening around you. Think about the last time you felt overwhelmed. Maybe it was a stressful day at work, a conflict in a relationship, or just the weight of too many responsibilities. In those moments, peace can feel like an impossible goal. But what if you could train your mind to return to a place of calm, even in the midst of chaos? That's the Stoic approach, not waiting for the world to settle down, but building your own inner sanctuary. One practical way to do this is through meditation. It's a tool the Stoics would have admired, though they might not have called it by that name. Imagine sitting quietly for just 5 minutes, focusing on your breath and letting go of the thoughts that pull you in every direction. This isn't about escaping reality, it's about grounding yourself in it. By practicing mindfulness, you create a space where you can observe your thoughts without being ruled by them. Over time, this practice helps you develop a deeper sense of inner stability, so that even when life feels turbulent, you can find your center. But meditation isn't the only way to cultivate peace. Simple habits like taking a walk in nature or journaling your thoughts can have a similar effect. The key is consistency. Just as you wouldn't expect to build physical strength with a single workout, you can't expect to achieve inner peace overnight. It's a daily practice, a commitment to returning to yourself even when the world feels chaotic. So, what small step could you take today to cultivate inner peace? Maybe it's carving out 5 minutes of quiet time, or simply pausing to take a few deep breaths when you feel stressed. It doesn't have to be grand or complicated, it just has to be intentional. Because when you make peace a habit, you're not just surviving life's storms, you're learning to dance in the rain. That's the Stoic way, not seeking a perfect life, but finding perfect peace within an imperfect one. Stoics believed in kindness as a form of strength, not weakness. While they're often associated with emotional detachment, their philosophy was deeply rooted in compassion and empathy, qualities they saw as essential to living a virtuous life. Seneca, one of Stoicism's most eloquent voices, wrote, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness." For the Stoics, compassion wasn't just a nice-to-have trait. It was a moral obligation, a way to connect with others and contribute to the greater good. At its core, Stoic compassion is about recognizing our shared humanity. It's understanding that everyone, including ourselves, is doing the best they can with the tools they have. This perspective doesn't mean ignoring flaws or excusing harmful behavior. It means approaching others with empathy and a willingness to understand their struggles. Marcus Aurelius, despite the immense pressures of ruling an empire, often reminded himself to see the humanity in even his fiercest critics. He wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they cannot tell good from evil." This wasn't a judgment, it was an invitation to respond with patience and kindness, even when others didn't seem to deserve it. So, what does Stoic compassion look like in practice? Picture this. You're walking down the street and see someone struggling to carry heavy bags. Instead of walking past, you stop and offer to help. It's a small act, but it carries profound meaning. In that moment, you're not just easing someone's burden, you're affirming their dignity and worth. You're practicing the Stoic virtue of philanthropia, or love for humanity, which teaches us to see ourselves as part of a larger whole. But compassion isn't just about grand gestures, it's also about the small, everyday choices we make. It's listening without judgment when a friend shares their struggles. It's offering a kind word to a stranger who looks like they're having a tough day. It's even extending grace to yourself when you fall short of your own expectations. Each act of compassion, no matter how small, strengthens your connection to others and deepens your sense of purpose. How can you show more compassion in your daily interactions? Start by noticing the people around you, not just their actions, but their humanity. When someone cuts you off in traffic, instead of reacting with anger, consider that they might be rushing to an emergency. When a colleague seems distant, take a moment to ask how they're doing. These small shifts in perspective can transform how you relate to others, creating ripples of kindness that extend far beyond yourself. Compassion, in the Stoic sense, isn't just about making others feel better. It's about becoming a better version of yourself. It's about cultivating the strength to meet the world with an open heart, even when it feels easier to close it off. Because when you choose kindness, you're not just helping others, you're building a life rooted in virtue, connection, and meaning, and that's a legacy worth striving for. What if less truly was more? The Stoics believed that simplicity wasn't just a lifestyle choice, it was a pathway to clarity, focus, and peace. In a world that often equates success with accumulation, they offered a radical alternative, the idea that true freedom comes from letting go. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." This isn't just a poetic sentiment, it's a practical philosophy. By stripping away the non-essential, we create space for what truly matters. Think about it. How much of your day is spent managing stuff, physical possessions, digital clutter, or even mental distractions? The Stoics understood that excess doesn't just take up space, it consumes energy. It pulls our attention in countless directions, leaving us feeling scattered and overwhelmed. Simplifying your life, in their view, isn't about deprivation, it's about liberation. It's about creating room to breathe, to think, and to focus on what brings meaning and joy. One practical way to embrace this habit is by decluttering your physical space. Imagine walking into a room that's free of unnecessary items, where every object serves a purpose or brings you joy. This isn't just about aesthetics, it's about creating an environment that supports your well-being. Research shows that clutter can increase stress and reduce productivity, while a tidy space can promote calm and clarity. The Stoics would argue that by simplifying your surroundings, you're not just organizing your home, you're organizing your mind. But simplicity isn't just about physical possessions, it's also about how you spend your time and energy. Consider your daily schedule. Are there commitments that drain you more than they fulfill you? Are there habits or routines that no longer serve your goals? Simplifying your life means saying no to what doesn't align with your values, so you can say yes to what truly matters. It's about prioritizing quality over quantity, whether that's in your relationships, your work, or your personal pursuits. So, what could you let go of to live more simply? Maybe it's a closet full of clothes you never wear, a calendar packed with obligations that leave you exhausted, or even a mindset that equates busyness with worth. The Stoics would remind us that simplicity isn't about having less, it's about having enough. When you focus on what's essential, you free yourself from the weight of excess and open the door to a life of purpose and peace. Simplifying your life is a practice, not a one-time event. Start small, clear out a drawer, cancel a commitment that no longer serves you, or take a few minutes each day to reflect on what truly matters to you. Over time, these small acts will add up, helping you create a life that's not only simpler but richer in meaning. That's the Stoic way, finding abundance in less and discovering freedom in letting go. Patience is a Stoic virtue that transforms frustration into opportunity. In a world that often feels fast-paced and demanding, patience can feel like a rare commodity. Yet, for the Stoics, it was a cornerstone of resilience and inner peace. Epictetus, a philosopher who endured slavery and exile, taught that no great thing is created suddenly. His words remind us that growth, progress, and even understanding take time. Patience isn't just about waiting, it's about how we wait. It's the ability to remain calm and composed even when things don't go as planned. And in doing so, it turns what could be a source of stress into a chance to practice grace and self-control. Think about the last time you were stuck in a long line. Maybe you were at the grocery store, the DMV, or waiting for a delayed flight. How did you react? Did you feel your frustration rise, or were you able to stay present and use the time to your advantage? The Stoics would argue that these moments aren't just inconveniences, they're opportunities to cultivate patience. By choosing to endure delays with calmness, you're not just making the wait more bearable, you're strengthening your ability to handle bigger challenges in life. Patience also plays a crucial role in relationships and personal growth. Imagine you're working on a project that's taking longer than expected. It's easy to feel discouraged or even give up. But what if, instead of rushing the process, you trusted in the value of steady effort? The Stoics believed that true progress often comes from persistence, not speed. By embracing patience, you allow yourself the space to learn, adapt, and improve. It's not about standing still, it's about moving forward with intention, even when the pace feels slow. So, how can patience improve your response to life's delays? Start by reframing how you see them. Instead of viewing waiting as wasted time, consider it a chance to practice mindfulness or reflect on your goals. Use those moments to breathe deeply, observe your surroundings, or even jot down ideas. When you approach delays with this mindset, you're not just enduring them, you're transforming them into opportunities for growth and clarity. That's the Stoic way, turning what feels like a setback into a stepping stone, one patient moment at a time. What if reflecting on your day could transform your tomorrow? The Stoics believed that the way you end your day is just as important as how you begin it. Seneca, one of the most influential Stoic philosophers, wrote, "Assess your day before you sleep." What did you do well? Where did you fall short? What can you improve? This practice, known as the evening review, isn't just about recounting events, it's about evaluating your actions, intentions, and growth. It's a chance to pause, reflect, and align yourself with your values before you rest. Imagine taking just 10 minutes each night to look back on your day. What did you accomplish? What challenges did you face, and how did you respond? The Stoics saw this as an opportunity to learn from both successes and failures. It's not about dwelling on mistakes or patting yourself on the back. It's about understanding what worked, what didn't, and how you can move forward with greater wisdom. This kind of reflection isn't just a habit, it's a tool for continuous improvement. One practical way to incorporate this practice is through journaling. At the end of your day, take a few moments to write down 3 things: what went well, what could have gone better, and what you learned. For example, maybe you handled a difficult conversation with patience, but you also procrastinated on an important task. By acknowledging both the wins and the missteps, you're not just recording events, you're creating a roadmap for growth. Over time, these small insights add up, helping you make better decisions and stay aligned with your goals. But the evening review isn't just about self-critique. It's also a time to celebrate progress, no matter how small. Did you show kindness to someone today? Did you stay calm under pressure? These moments, often overlooked, are worth noting. They remind you of your strengths and reinforce the behaviors you want to cultivate. At the same time, reflecting on challenges helps you identify patterns and areas for improvement. It's about balance, recognizing both where you shine and where you can grow. So, what did you learn from today that can guide your tomorrow? Perhaps you discovered that a moment of silence helped you respond more thoughtfully, or that rushing through tasks led to avoidable mistakes. These lessons, when reflected on consistently, become the building blocks of a more intentional life. The evening review isn't just a habit, it's a gift you give yourself, a chance to learn, grow, and approach each new day with clarity and purpose. That's the Stoic way, ending your day with reflection so you can begin tomorrow with intention. Stoics believed integrity was the foundation of a virtuous life, a principle that resonates as deeply today as it did thousands of years ago. At its core, integrity is about living in alignment with your values even when no one is watching. It's about being honest with yourself and others, staying true to your word, and acting with consistency, no matter the circumstances. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, often reflected on the importance of moral character, writing, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." His words remind us that integrity isn't just an ideal to aspire to, it's a practice to embody daily. Living with integrity means more than just avoiding dishonesty. It's about actively choosing to do what's right, even when it's difficult. Think about a time when you made a promise. Did you follow through, even when it became inconvenient? The Stoics would argue that keeping your word isn't just about maintaining trust with others, it's about maintaining trust with yourself. Every time you act in alignment with your values, you strengthen your character and build a sense of inner coherence. It's a way of saying, "This is who I am and I stand by it." Let's take a modern example. Imagine you've committed to a project at work, but halfway through, you realize it's more challenging than you anticipated. It would be easy to cut corners, blame others, or even walk away. But what if instead you chose to see it through with the same effort and honesty you promised at the start? That's integrity in action. It's not about perfection, it's about perseverance. It's about showing up even when the path is tough because you've committed to doing what's right. So, how can you align your actions more closely with your values? Start by reflecting on what matters most to you. What principles guide your decisions? What kind of person do you want to be in moments of challenge or temptation? Once you've identified your core values, look for small, tangible ways to live them out. Maybe it's being truthful in a difficult conversation or following through on a promise you made to a friend. Each act of integrity, no matter how small, reinforces your commitment to living a virtuous life. Integrity, in the Stoic sense, isn't just about external actions, it's about internal alignment. It's the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you've done your best even when no one else sees it. When you practice integrity, you're not just building trust with others, you're building trust with yourself, and that trust becomes the foundation for a life of purpose, resilience, and peace. So, what's one step you can take today to live more authentically, more honestly, and more fully? Because when you choose integrity, you're not just shaping your character, you're shaping your destiny. What if change wasn't something to fear, but an opportunity to grow? The Stoics had a unique perspective on this. They saw change not as a disruption, but as an essential part of life. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher who faced immense personal upheaval, put it simply, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." For the Stoics, change wasn't a threat, it was a teacher. It was a chance to practice adaptability, resilience, and even gratitude for the new possibilities it brought. Think about it, life is constantly in motion. Seasons change, relationships evolve, careers shift, and even our own bodies and minds transform over time. Resistance to this natural flow often leads to frustration and stress. But what if, instead of clinging to how things used to be, you embraced the uncertainty as an opportunity? The Stoics believed that adaptability was one of the greatest strengths a person could cultivate. It's not about passively accepting whatever comes your way, but about actively finding ways to thrive within the new circumstances. Take a modern example. Imagine you're faced with an unexpected career shift. Maybe your industry is changing or your role is no longer fulfilling. It's easy to feel overwhelmed, even defeated. But what if you saw this as a chance to explore new paths, to learn new skills, or even to redefine what success means to you? That's the Stoic approach, not resisting change but leaning into it. By reframing the situation, you transform what could feel like a setback into a stepping stone toward something greater. So, how can you start viewing change as an opportunity for growth? Begin by shifting your mindset. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" try asking, "What can I learn from this?" or "How can I grow through this experience?" These questions don't just help you cope with change, they help you take ownership of it. They remind you that even in uncertainty, you have the power to choose your response. And when you approach change with curiosity and openness, you open yourself to possibilities you might never have imagined. Consider the natural world. Trees don't resist the changing seasons, they adapt, shedding leaves in the fall and budding anew in the spring. In the same way, embracing change means letting go of what no longer serves you and making space for new growth. It's not about denying the challenges, but about finding the opportunities hidden within them. That's the Stoic way, seeing change not as an enemy, but as an ally in your journey toward a more resilient and fulfilling life. So, what's one change in your life that you can start to see as an opportunity today? Stoics saw generosity as a path to fulfillment, a practice that not only benefits others but enriches your own life in profound ways. For the Stoics, giving wasn't just an act of charity, it was a reflection of virtue, a way to align yourself with the natural order of the universe. Seneca, one of Stoicism's most influential voices, wrote extensively about the importance of sharing wealth, time, and kindness. He believed that true wealth isn't measured by what you accumulate, but by what you give away. No one can live happily who has regard for themselves alone, he said. In other words, generosity isn't just about helping others. It's about cultivating a sense of connection and purpose that transcends individual gain. At its core, Stoic generosity is rooted in the idea of philanthropia, love for humanity. It's about recognizing that we're all part of a larger whole, and that our actions ripple out into the world in ways we may never fully see. When you give, whether it's your time, resources, or even just a kind word, you're not just offering something material, you're affirming the value of others and contributing to the greater good. This isn't about grand gestures or public recognition. It's about the quiet, consistent acts of giving that define who you are. Take, for example, the act of donating your time. Imagine volunteering at a local shelter or mentoring someone who could benefit from your experience. These actions might seem small, but they carry immense weight. They remind us that generosity isn't just about money. It's about presence, attention, and care. The Stoics believed that these small, intentional acts of kindness could transform not only the lives of others, but also your own sense of purpose and fulfillment. But generosity doesn't have to be formal or structured. It can be as simple as holding the door for a stranger, offering a listening ear to a friend, or sharing a meal with someone in need. These moments, often overlooked, are where the spirit of Stoic generosity truly shines. They're reminders that every interaction is an opportunity to give, to connect, and to make the world a little brighter. So, how can you practice generosity in your daily life? Start by looking for small, meaningful ways to give. Maybe it's setting aside a portion of your income to support a cause you care about, or dedicating an hour each week to help someone in your community. It could even be as simple as sharing your knowledge or offering encouragement to someone who's struggling. The key is to approach generosity with intention and an open heart, knowing that every act of giving, no matter how small, contributes to a richer, more connected life. Generosity, in the Stoic sense, isn't just about what you give, it's about who you become in the process. It's about cultivating a mindset of abundance where you see yourself not as separate from others, but as part of a shared journey. And when you give freely, without expectation of return, you'll find that the greatest reward is the sense of purpose and fulfillment it brings. That's the Stoic way, not just living for yourself, but living for the good of all. For the Stoics, virtue wasn't just a lofty ideal. It was the highest good, the ultimate measure of a life well lived. Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's most revered voices, put it plainly: waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. This wasn't a call to perfection, it was a call to action. Virtue, in the Stoic sense, is about living in alignment with wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline, qualities that transcend fleeting pleasures or external achievements. It's about striving to be the best version of yourself, not for recognition or reward, but because it's the right thing to do. But what does it mean to live virtuously in a world that often prioritizes convenience over character? Let's take a modern example. Imagine you're at work and a colleague takes credit for an idea you shared. It would be easy to let it slide, to avoid confrontation and keep the peace. But what if instead you chose to speak up, not out of anger or pride, but out of a commitment to honesty and fairness? That's virtue in action. It's not about being perfect, it's about making choices that align with your deepest values, even when it's uncomfortable. The Stoics believed that true happiness and fulfillment come not from wealth, fame, or comfort, but from living a virtuous life. Why? Because virtue is the one thing that can't be taken away. External circumstances may change. You might lose your job, face criticism, or encounter setbacks, but your character remains within your control. When you prioritize virtue, you're building a foundation of inner strength that no external force can shake. So, how can you start prioritizing virtue in your decisions today? Begin by reflecting on what matters most to you. What principles guide your life? Is it integrity, compassion, resilience, or something else? Once you've identified your core values, look for opportunities to live them out, even in small ways. Maybe it's choosing kindness over judgment, or standing up for what's right, even when it's unpopular. Each act of virtue, no matter how small, reinforces your commitment to living a meaningful life. Consider this: every decision you make is a chance to practice virtue. It's not about waiting for a grand moment to prove your character. It's about showing up with integrity in the everyday moments. When you make choices that align with your values, you're not just shaping your actions, you're shaping your destiny. That's the Stoic way, seeking virtue above all, not as a distant goal, but as a daily practice. So, what's one decision you can make today that reflects your commitment to living virtuously? Because when you choose virtue, you're choosing a life of purpose, resilience, and true fulfillment. As we come to the end of this journey through the 22 Stoic habits, it's worth taking a moment to reflect on the power these practices hold. These aren't just abstract ideas or ancient wisdom, they're tools honed over centuries to help you shape your destiny. From morning reflection to evening review, from embracing discomfort to cultivating gratitude, each habit is a step toward mastering your mind, your actions, and ultimately your life. But here's the key: these habits aren't magic. They don't transform you overnight. Their power lies in consistent practice, in the quiet, daily commitment to living with intention and purpose. Think of these habits as seeds. Plant them in the soil of your daily life. Nurture them with patience and dedication, and over time, they'll grow into something extraordinary. Marcus Aurelius didn't become a wise and resilient leader in a day. Seneca didn't write his profound letters without years of reflection and effort. And you, too, will find that the journey of self-improvement is just that, a journey. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. It's about showing up day after day and choosing to live in alignment with your values even when it's hard. Seneca once wrote, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult." These words remind us that the path to mastery begins with a single step. It begins with choosing one habit, one practice, and committing to it. Maybe it's the simplicity of morning reflection, or the clarity of focusing on what's within your control. Perhaps it's the courage to embrace discomfort or the quiet strength of patience. Whatever resonates with you, start there. Let it be your anchor, your guiding light as you navigate the complexities of life. As you reflect on these 22 habits, consider this: which one speaks to you most deeply? Which one feels like the missing piece in your journey toward a more purposeful life? Take a moment to sit with that question, write it down, make a plan to integrate it into your routine, even in small ways. Remember, it's not about doing everything at once, it's about starting somewhere. And as you take that first step, know that you're joining a long line of thinkers, leaders, and everyday people who have found strength and clarity in Stoic wisdom. Before we close, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these habits resonated most? How do you plan to apply it in your life? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your insights might inspire someone else on their journey. And if you found value in this exploration of Stoic principles, consider subscribing for more insights and practical tools to help you live with purpose and resilience. Together, let's continue this journey toward mastering our minds, our actions, and our destinies. Thank you for joining me, and remember, the path to mastery begins with a single step. Take yours today.